Quadrumvirate, the journey of love. Love says hi in the distance and prepares for his long trips. It's been years since his last meal. He likes to keep a light diet because of his several adventures around the globe. Love walks in a forest with a water bottle, flies with no seat, no ticket, no arrival time, no luggage. Love swims without knowing about the waters and no swimming suit because of his limited sense of style. Love does not complain for his solitude. He cherishes every day. He enjoys talking to strangers about what they really want to talk about. At the end, as per usual, he likes to give advice. Sometimes he needs to review his map. He hasn't updated his technology yet. He uses old school maps. It is easy to get lost in a big place. He has never celebrated his birthday. He doesn't have one. He doesn't care about numbers anymore. He's timeless. He drinks water instead of coffee and tea instead of soda. He likes to feel right about himself. He wears shorts and t-shirts when the weather allows it. At times, he lounges on the clouds, reads the newspapers, and wonders if his travels have been worth it. He's focused on delivering his final product. He doesn't like to get distracted with so many colorful books. He picks one after the other one and remembers that he is timeless. He slides down the pole and sees his destination. He needs to take a bus. He has been there, but he doesn't quite remember. He makes a phone call and the receiver answers promptly.
Hello, Peace family? How can I help you?
Meet me at M.
No time to meet anyone, sorry.
You will not regret it. I'm tired.
I have no time, I said.
I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm timeless. Meet me at a safe place, I implore you.
A safe place sounds kind of okay, I guess. At a safe place, receiver goes with his pack.
I don't mind waiting. I'm timeless.
I can't say the same. Tell me, what do you need from me?
I don't think I need anything from you. Instead, you need something from me.
I have everything I need, and even if I needed anything else, I wouldn't ever ask or tell anyone. I am isolated.
Son, you realize that your skin is not as it used to be?
That's not your business. At least I have a stable job, savings, a retirement plan, a fancy place where to live, a car, and a pack.
You're missing something in your life.
It is too late. I'm old anyways. No matter how much I do, this is how my life is.
Well, now you have me, and someone from your pack requested a special service for you.
I have no words.
You have no words, I know. I've seen how much you struggle to communicate with others, but it doesn't mean you don't have a life. You have an opportunity every minute of your existence. Make this journey worth it.
Nonsense speaks nonsense. I'm leaving now.
Wait! One last thing. Put your glasses on.
I don't listen to anyone.
You will not see me again if that's what you want.
I have my glasses on now. Please, hurry up. I have no time to waste.
Thank you. Now, get closer to this strange-looking device.
What is that?
Sometimes you don't need to know what things are. You just need to know how they make you feel.
Can you stop talking like a bumper sticker?
I will talk your words then.
What do I do now?
Close your eyes.
I have no time, I said.
Now, open your eyes and see through the binoculars. These devices help you to see things in the distance.
I always thought that things in the distance were things that didn't exist.
You're somehow correct. There are very few things that can remain in the distance. Remember, it doesn't mean that they don't exist. It just means that you need a binocular to see them. Tell me, what do you see?
Oh, well, I see nothing, as I said. I have to work tomorrow, and now you messed my schedule. Thanks for nothing, Mr. What's your name?
I have no name.
Everyone has one.
Well, not me.
Why do you wear a paper bag on your face?
No one needs to see my face. They only need to listen to my words.
Nonsense speaks nonsense.
Did you see a yellow spot?
Yes, I see it. It is shining a lot, growing. I see orange, blue, and green rays. Is that an explosion?
Not exactly. That's how love feels when it is true and one of your pack keeps loving you. I'm leaving now.
Please, don't go. Tell me more. I do have words.
It's too late. I have no time.
Welcome to episode 6, everybody. I'm your co-host, Russell.
And Alexa.
Yes, and we hope you enjoyed the short story that was created by Alexa. You can actually find more of those short stories on our website, so come visit them.
That story was actually created by the Amazon Alexa, and she just asked us, gave us a call, and asked us if we could publish and share it.
Oh yes, definitely. So let me ask some of the questions on what kind of inspired you for that short story. What did inspire you to write that short story?
So that story came like a year ago or 2 years ago. And that story is basically about my family and just how the circumstances have shaped our relationship. So in that story, I'm just trying to portray how much, how challenging can be to be in different places with the people you love. So that was just basically that, regardless of that, you can still keep in touch with them and, and still have a strong connection with them regardless.
Yeah, I mean,
where you are.
I really liked it, and I really liked the part with the receiver and then the lover talking about what inspired you to have that section of that part.
Well, I think all of us have many voices inside of our head, so I was just trying to kind of make it two separate people, but indeed it was just me.
Right.
Talking, to myself.
Yeah. And what kind of feelings were you feeling at the moment when you were creating this?
I mean, it was just, I didn't think I was gonna transition into doing characters. I thought I was just gonna do a normal story, but after I was wait, sometimes it's better when you just put a scenario. It's kind of easier to kind of convey the real message. So that's why I tried that instead.
Nice. Yeah, so like I said, come visit the website. We have more writings and
we have a lot more going on as well.
Right, exactly. So we hope to kind of show you some of these in our future podcasts as well, to read some of our stories or poetry as well. Because
I know you also have some, right?
I have some stories as well that I can show to everybody as well. So I think that should be fun. So moving on to the next thing that we're going to be talking about, what we have on our podcast this week is our experience at Fort Greene Park, it was a Sundance short films, which was really cool. We had there was really cool short films that we will kind of want to discuss. The next topic that we're going to be talking about is kind of some of our experiences moving to New York City, because we both came from two different places, and how did we get here? So that should be interesting and fun, and what our story was to get here.
Okay, I think that sounds fun. So let's begin with the short films. Sundance.
Yeah, so we can first discuss about Fort Greene Park in general, and then we can go to the Sundance. So what the Fort Greene Park is a really nice park in Brooklyn. There's just a lot of grass fields, and I heard from one of our friends that one of the days, a lot of dogs, just a lot of people walk dogs there, so you can have a dog meetup or something there, on a nighttime or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. So if you like a lot of dogs, a lot of dogs are at that park. And the park is just really nice, and they throw events there as well.
It's just like any other park, but I think it just has like more kind of events for the community.
Yeah, which I really like that park.
Yeah, because I think some other parks that I've been to, they are just like, normal parks that they have like things for kids and, the normal like dog park and things like that. But I like when they also include events. So I think that keeps the park a little more interesting and keeps bringing people over.
Yeah.
And it gives it another type of service, and all these like short films and like a small like people that have like some type of art, they can feature it as well.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So the event that we went to, it was in July. It was the Sundance short films, and there are I don't remember, maybe 6 or 7 short films that were shown, and we're just going to go one by one to see how we feel on some of them. Some were better than others.
And I think we also thought that it was important to advocate a little more for short films makers.
Yep.
Just because they don't have the enough recognition, and they don't have maybe enough resources to make it all the way through, the big screens like, I don't know, Hollywood and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, a lot of short films, they're from independent filmmakers.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's only like 2 or 3 that direct and produce it. Mm-hmm. So much props to them, for doing this. And, just this kind of showing everybody, like, this is how you can do this on a budget.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the first film that we have was...
the one, it was right here. The first one was O. And that one was probably the strangest out of all of them, because it was a short animation film. There was no words or anything. It was just kind of interesting animation and just sounds, a lot of sounds.
Honestly, it felt like it was just like a lot of movement and kind of... I thought they were just like worms, to be honest.
Yeah, it was very strange.
Type of worm-looking things that were just moving, and I was like, I honestly didn't like, because I'm so used to just getting the straight type of movie thing. So that kind of cut you off guard a little bit, and you kind of have to think a little harder. What is this thing
Yeah, it was very...
trying to say?
It was pretty ambiguous. Out of all of the shows, the short films that we watched, it was the animation was really good. It was kind of strange. It wasn't my favorite for sure. Yeah,
I mean, according to their website, says that it was depicting animated cycles in a world entirely based on sound frequency and vibration.
Yeah.
So that's something that you would never really come across, or that you really think about until, they show it. So it was interesting just to see how, we all understand the world differently. There are people that like, love stories and da-da-da, but, there are other things that you can do as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was, you probably would have to watch it more than once to kind of figure out what's going on type of deal.
Yeah, you will have to watch it for at least a year.
A year, yeah.
At least for me.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, so the next film was about, what was the name?
Counterfeit Kanku.
That was about the Indian woman.
Yes.
That was dealing with an abusive marriage.
Right.
And that she found herself in Mumbai trying to rent a place. But one of the requirements to rent a place is that the husband has to be the one that makes the agreement, like the deal. And that's in India. I didn't know that. So she had a lot of trouble because she was actually just was
trying to get divorced.
Yeah, she was trying to get divorced. So it was really hard for her to get an apartment.
Yeah.
So she had to do like a lot of things to be able to get a place, which she did at the end.
Well, she did at the end because she had to kind of counterfeit. Basically, she had to say that her husband was away, so that she he couldn't sign it, but she will sign it. So a lot of the apartments were like you have to be a family to rent
exactly.
I
think I felt How did you feel about that?
It was interesting. It was a very good short film, kind of showcasing like how around the world, they have different traditions, and sometimes the traditions is just I think they need to go away. To be honest, it's like, why are you renting based on if you have a family or not? They're basing that you should be married, you should do this, you should do that, but in the end, it's just like. For people, it's just like they should, especially for renting, apartments, it shouldn't be, discriminating in any, circumstance if they're married or not married.
Yeah, I felt that also what I heard before is that, I don't know if what other countries they do like arranged marriages.
Right.
Because I think one of those countries is actually India.
Uh-huh.
So, that has already like an undertone of like being a very male-dominated society. Right. So when they put those things, like those type of requirements, like it makes it such a very difficult for for women that are not married and like want to advocate for their career. So I felt kind of a little sad in that regard, because until then I never thought that that you will have to get with someone to be able to do something else, because I feel that here in the US that also exists, but I think it's not as much. Right. It's just like always like there's things that men can do, suppose they do better, and there's always that like type of culture.
Right.
But it's not it's not like in legal matters that you can do that. I think Colombia is also the same. But not to the point that you're not able to rent a place if you don't have a husband. Right. So we'll be homeless, like...
homeless.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Because I know for a woman's perspective is different, like,
No, I read
how do you feel being a man? Like, how do you feel about the woman have to struggle like that?
No, that's why I said that I don't feel like that should happen, and that is discriminatory, in regards to that. So for me, like seeing that, it's just it was a very good short film.
I really like it too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was basically just the same woman for the same. These short films lasted for around 12 to 15 minutes. So basically, in this one was just the same woman, going through the struggles of as we said already, of being a divorced person. So the next short film that we had was called Emergency,
which was actually one of my favorites. Actually, it's probably my favorite.
Your favorite? Okay, mine was the one that we just discussed about.
Right, counterfeit.
Counterfeit.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Tell us about the short film Emergency.
So Emergency, it says, the little bio, faced with emergency, a group of young black and Latino friends weigh the pros and cons of calling the police. I just really liked how it was set up, how it was filmed, and just the characters in there as well. It was just kind of like normal day life, of like how people struggle in regards to dealing with the police or not. And it was just showing you like how it can be very impacted on if people should call the police, and if they should call the police, will the police believe them? I think that was like the biggest thing about like the film itself. So basically, there was two black guys that was walking down the street, and they were going into the house of their friends. And they see a white woman that was laying on the ground.
Weird.
It was kind of like almost kind of like dead. I want to say.
Yeah. Almost.
So they look like they're kind of almost dead, and they went upstairs to see their friend who was Latino.
Yeah, we are stating their how do you say this, like their background, just because this is the breaking point of this story about the background differences, whether should call the police.
Yeah,
just making that disclaimer.
Yeah. So they were going downstairs, and they're like, "Well, we need to help this person out because we don't know how she even got here." And then they were arguing with each other, like, "Well, we shouldn't call the police because they're going to believe that they did it." And which is like you see in what's happening around the U.S. at the moment. There's a lot of times calling the police, are they going to be on your side? So it's really like it really shows a story of like how this is actually happening here in the U.S., which is really unfortunate. And this is the story that they have to tell. And eventually they called another person who was also Latino, but then they had to change his name because his name, it was actually Luis, but they changed it so it sounded like a white name, Louis. And then they... That's my
dad's name, by the way.
Yeah, so it was kind of a comedy at the end where they dressed up really nice, like a flannel shirt, all that stuff, and then they had to speak very proper, because they called the police and be like, "Yes, sir," blah, blah, blah. And, the police was saying, like, "Oh, this happens all the time where drunk people or drugged people walk into people's houses for some reason." So it was just like, the story was very powerful in a short way, but saying, like, can we trust the police, to be on our side if we say the truth, And so, like, to me, it was very touching. It showed, like, what is happening around the U.S., and, on both sides, it's just like, should we trust? Should we not trust? And it's just very impactful to me. So that's I really, really enjoyed that one.
I also like that one. And I think this type of issue, goes beyond only the U.S., because I think in different countries, the stigmas are different.
Right.
In my country, Colombia, which is the only experience I have, is, between, social economic status, if you're maybe of a lower class,
right,
or higher class, that impacts whether or not your abortions are going to be taken, truthful, the truth, not. So I think there are different ways that other countries also deal with these things, but it's unfortunate that the police should be responsive regardless.
Right. Well, it's not like this police are responsive. It's
I know,
just
but it should be.
Do they should the police trust?
I mean, this shouldn't be an issue.
Right? It shouldn't be. I'm not saying it should be.
That's the problem here. Right. We shouldn't be talking about these things.
Right. We shouldn't, right? But it has happened, and we hope to get to a place where both parties are looking out for each other. We're calling police because this is what's happening, and you should trust me, not say oh, you're actually the one that did it, right? We should trust each other because we want the community to be better, right? We want to trust each other, and it's all about trust, basically. I enjoyed it.
Okay. Alrighty. The next one was called The Fisherman.
Yes.
El Pescador in Spanish. And it was just like a fisherman is having a harsh winter at the open sea. So for the sake of his family and against all odds, he needs to capture a fish the night that he was working. So how did you like that?
I enjoyed that one too. It was like...
This was made in Cuba, I believe?
Yes. Yeah. And the director, at the very end of the show, the director of it was saying that... was saying some interesting stuff as well, which is really cool. Yeah, they were saying it's actually illegal to shoot short films in Cuba.
But people do it anyways.
But people do it anyways. And they said that there's no funding for independent films in Cuba as well, so they had to do certain things to get the funding for it.
I think they got it from the U.S.
Yeah, and no, it was really cool. I enjoyed it. It was it just showed how difficult it was to get money, and just to show a family was just struggling to,
So basically, the whole family financial support came from the dad's job as a fisherman. And there was a family of 3 people. They have the fisherman, his wife, and the fisherman's daughter. So she was, I think the daughter wanted to participate in a singing contest. And she kept singing throughout the film in Spanish. I don't know, a song about like hope or a star or something like that. And the only income, as I said, that they have was from fishing. So the dad went just the whole night to the open sea, right, and waited the whole night to find a fish. And it wasn't until the very next morning, or I don't know what time it was, but it seemed like he waited for a long time. It was just a small. He was in a little boat. The conditions that they show was very not very good. And he was able to finally get a fish. And so when he got home, he gave his wife all the cash that he has made. And regardless of that, it wasn't enough for the daughter's dress. So it was kind of just sad, to see also, that when families only rely on one source.
Right.
It was just sad to see, all the things that parents do in order to keep, kids, things floating.
Right, yeah, I agree. So, yeah, that was a good one. I enjoyed it.
Alrighty. Yeah. So, should we move on?
So, the next one is Great Choice.
What was that one?
Yeah, that one was
I strongly disliked that one.
I enjoyed it, but I could see why people don't, because it was kind of a scary one. It was basically about a Red Lobster commercial, and it just kept repeating, and then the guy at the end would be like, "Great choice," and then rewind, and then it was shot in a style where it was like a videotape, like back in the early 90s. Yeah, so it was very interesting, but it was kind of very weird.
Yeah, I think the point of this was basically, how much like advertisement can do wrong, mm-hmm, when you like flash out constantly, advertisement regarding lobsters. Not lobsters, just in general, how much you can just like. When they tell you in Taco Bell that there's like they have a deal, but if they say every single time, it gets very repetitive.
Yeah,
it gets very annoying and gets to the point that people are just morbid.
Right,
they are violent, and just like what happened in this film.
Yeah.
Because at the end, all the actors were just like hurting other people, and
yeah, you just have to watch it.
Yeah, it turned into a horror movie.
Yeah, you just have to watch it. That's all we'll say.
I honestly didn't like that. Like I felt like, I don't know, I felt like angry.
Yeah. For
some reason. Maybe that's where they wanted to appeal.
Yeah. Yeah. So
we're not gonna discuss.
Yeah, we're not gonna discuss all of them, but there are other ones we did see, which was
we did like
Volta.
Yeah.
War Paint.
That was good.
And was Wild Wild West, which was also really good.
Which one was that one?
That was just like this speaking one with paper. They were using paper. And then they did like a short kind of like
yes.
poetry. Those were good as well. If you are able to watch them, go ahead and watch those.
I don't know how is the things in other cities. I don't know. Maybe they have like a
Sundance short films. They usually show it at other places as well.
Yeah.
And you can maybe find them online as well. But they're really good. If you can, if you're able to see them, I would highly recommend them.
Mm-hmm. It's another type of perspective.
Definitely.
Shall we move on?
We shall. So the next topic that we're going to
talk about or
discussing is our experience moving to New York City. Whoop, 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 whoop. So yes, New York City.
New York.
Then with some later. How do you sing that? I don't remember.
Well, I think we're singing different songs.
Yeah, we probably are singing different songs.
Okay.
So how do you want to say? You want me to start, or you want you to start?
No, I can kind of touch upon certain things that were relevant.
Okay. When did you move here?
I moved to this country.
No, where are you coming from then?
Okay, so I moved to the concrete jungle back in 2014. So it's been 4 years, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Okay, something like that. You do the math. I was coming from a place that's called Virginia. If you guys are not familiar with that was the first
Virginia
colony here in the United States. So Virginia. That was a great place. I love it. I met great people and I had great experiences. However, I just wanted to explore something different. So why not New York? At the time, I had one single friend who lived here because I was thinking to move somewhere else. I think Texas was on my mind. Maybe Boston was on my mind too. Mm-hmm. I wanted to maybe also try Arizona or Colorado. I was all over the place basically. And after, but I got a little scared because I didn't have anyone, So since I have my friend and she said, why don't you just come here, She really encouraged me. I was like, no, I don't feel, I don't know, I feel scared, just like when you do something new. So I moved here, as I said, with my one friend, and I stayed at her place for the first week.
Mm. And how did you get here?
By
bus. Fly here?
No.
A bus?
By bus.
Ooh, how long did that take?
I actually saw Delaware.
Yeah, Delaware.
Yeah.
You went through Delaware?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
I saw a grocery store in Delaware, so that's good enough to say I was in Delaware. I don't remember very vividly.
Yeah.
I'm sure I didn't talk throughout the way.
Were you scared when you got on that bus?
No.
So you're just like... And how many bags do you have?
A lot.
Really?
Yeah.
What, like 4 or 5 bags?
I mean, you're moving your whole life.
Oh.
No, I was a light... I like to be on the light side.
Yeah.
By them, but I still had a lot of things.
Yeah.
Now that I think I didn't need half of them, but I still brought them with me. So it was nice. It was I wasn't scared. I was more excited. And I remember my friend picked me up at Penn Station.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, how come do you have all those bags? And like,
what was the first thing that you kind of experience when you got off that bus in New York?
That was such a weird feeling. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm here.
Yeah.
And it was so calming to see her familiar face. I was like, yes. You feel some type of familiarity and you were because she's also from Colombia, so it was nice just to speak in Spanish for a little bit.
And when you because I know Virginia, there's not as many people, so that transition.
What do you mean? There are people.
Well, I mean, there are people, but not as many people.
I think so people there are more like spread out.
Right.
Here, everyone is contained in a little box.
Right. So, what was the feeling when
in addition to some other creatures that I'm sure you've seen on the trains and all,
Yeah. So when you were transitioning when you were moving from Virginia, which is not as many people, or they're more spread out, here, how did you feel? Because right when you got Penn Station, there's way more people than you would probably see.
I felt excited.
Yeah.
I felt like something was happening here.
Yeah.
But that was not the first thing I noticed. I feel that the first thing I noticed were the buildings. How many buildings were around, and just the factor of being of the subway.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah. How long do you think it took you to adjust to New York?
At least 9 months.
That's quite a bit. So 9 months. There you go. If you're all moving, anyone's moving here, it'll probably take 9 months to adjust according to
what do you mean adjusting?
Being comfortable going on the subways.
Oh, with the subway, yeah.
And then
No, the subways was You have to, you know. Of course, I got lost a million times.
Yeah.
I don't remember now, like specifically. I was just amazed, you know. I was like, how is this possible?
Yeah.
No, I think I exaggerated. I think maybe 6 months. Plus, I was in all the 5 boroughs at some point because I work in different places. Like I live, so it was kind of hard. It wasn't always the same constantly. It was kind of moving all over the place. So.
Wait, what was in the first place? Where were you at in the first place?
New Jersey.
And so New Jersey. So,
I ended up in New Jersey.
So you went to New York to Penn Station, and then you took another bus to New Jersey?
No.
So
I lived with my friend for a first week.
Yeah.
And she helped me with finding a place.
Yeah.
You know, she went with me. There were some very scary places, and that I'm glad I didn't live there. But there were some really nice people too. So we found a place in New Jersey. Now I don't even know how we ended up in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
And I say, yeah, I like this.
Yeah.
I remember the person that the people that were living there were from Turkey. I was like, I have no idea.
Right.
So it was very different. They were the first thing that I like about them is that they drink coffee. So that was a winning part.
Yeah.
The second thing that I really liked was the place was very clean. It was small, but it was very clean. And there was a girl living there as well, a man and a woman. I don't know how to say that. And she was the same age as me, so it was kind of easy to, connect.
Yeah.
I lived there for maybe a month. I was like, I'm not doing this. It was just far, but the people were really nice. I still keep in touch with the girl from Turkey.
Nice.
Hi. So yeah, it was interesting. You know, it's nice to look back and think. You know, to see how much you
reflect
have.
back and what. Yeah.
Okay, now.
Yeah. Okay, for me, where
Tell
should I
us,
start?
Where do you?
1999. No, I was joking. No, not 1999.
Where did you come from?
Okay, so I was coming from...
How did you come from?
I was coming from Portland, Oregon. I always wanted to move to New York City, since I can remember. I was always telling my grandma and my family, specifically, I was like, I'm going to go to New York City one of these days. I'm going to go to New York City. And this is probably back maybe in, since, I would say, 2006, 2005. So I've been wanting to go to New York City for a long time. I've never been to the East Coast before. I've always stayed on the West Coast, so California, Oregon, Washington, Hawaii, the West Coast. Mm-hmm. I've never actually been further East Coast before. And if I'm going to go to East Coast, I might as well go to New York City, which is the largest city on the East Coast. So I was like, okay, I'm getting there. I'm going to go there. And around before New Year's on January 2014, I
2013.
From transitioning from 2013 to 2014.
Oh, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, I was talking to my cousin. Shout outs to her, and I was like, I asked her, and because I was spending a night over at my cousin's place, I was like, should I move to New York City? And she's like, yeah, you should do it. I don't know why that really. That really made me want to do it.
Yeah, but, sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, but she's an amazing cousin. She's just she's just an amazing role model, just pushing people to do, what they do or want to do. So she just told me, just do it. And I don't know why. I had my laptop there. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to book a one-way ticket to New York City. Because if you book a one-way, you ain't coming back. Type of deal. That's how I was thinking.
You can go back.
I mean, you can go back, yeah.
It's not like a...
Yeah, so I booked a one-way ticket a month in advance, and I was like, well, I have a month to prepare to move to New York City.
Oh my gosh.
And I was just like...
So funny.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm going to do it.
I thought you came here in February. Because it was right before, New Year's.
February?
Yeah. Or March.
It was March, so maybe it was 2 months in advance. I can't remember. It was like that. But I know I came in March, and so it was. So I had to prepare, my finances, sell everything I have that I don't need. And I think I took 3 bags with me, just 3 bags. And I had to fly there because it was all the way from the West Coast to the East Coast, so I had to fit everything that I could carry, So everything was in 3 bags. I got those Ziploc bags that I highly recommend anyone that travels.
I have them too.
Use those Ziploc bags where you can store as much clothes as you need, and then you use a vacuum to suck out all the air, and it just is very compressed area. So I would suggest doing that. So I got all that, and I got to the airport. Oh no. And then I contacted someone.
When did you tell your family that you were moving? Did you tell them?
I told them right after I booked the ticket.
Okay.
That, hey, this is my decision that I'm going to move to New York City.
Wow.
And everybody was like, "You sure? You're going to do it? You're going to do it?" And then one of my uncles was like, "You're going to be moving back here in 3 months." And I was like, "I'm going to bet you on that to see if I am." So I got to the airport. My family was there to see me off, and before I did that, I contacted someone on Craigslist. And,
you was on Craigslist?
Yeah, I contacted someone on Craigslist,
what?
And I'm going to have her as a guest to our podcast later on in the future, and she'll be talking to you more about it. But she's very inspiring too. She's very inspiring. She's such an amazing person, and she was the first person I contacted, and she said that she had a place that I could stay, and that I would be the very first person to stay at her place. And I was
How did you feel? Because that's a problem. If you're the very first person, it means that there's no record of someone is staying before.
Yeah, exactly. So and I also had a little video interview with her, so I got to see her face to face.
I know, but it's
before
still...
as well. I had to take a chance. I just took the chance.
Oh, dear.
So I got on the airplane, and we had our tearful moments with my family. I cried, they cried, we all had cry eyes. All of that stuff, and it was good to see my family before I left, and so I got on a flight and I landed, and it was about 9 o'clock.
What airport did you land at?
LaGuardia? It was LaGuardia.
LaGuardia.
Yes, and it was 9 p.m. And
9 p.m.?
Yeah, so it was 9 p.m. So I got there
9 p.m.
late.
in New York City?
I got there super late, and then I was like, okay, let's take the taxi. You got to take the taxi to New York City, right? So I waited in line. I didn't realize how long the line was to take a taxi. It was long. It took me about 40 minutes to get a taxi because we had to wait a long-ass line. And so it was that, and then I waited, and then I called her, and I was like, I'm going to be late a little bit because I had to wait for so long. And she was like, okay, no problem. And then her place was in Brooklyn. It took another 40 minutes to get there. So by the time I got there, it was about 11 p.m. in Brooklyn. So I was in Brooklyn. I didn't know, the area. I was like,
oh my God.
Okay, what's going on around here? The area that I stayed in looked a little bit sketchy, especially at nighttime. So I was
everything looks kind of sketchy sometimes.
Yeah, especially at nighttime. So I was a little bit scared. I was like, okay. I called her. I was like, I got a taxi. I called her out right away. I was like, okay, where are you at? And so she got out of the apartment, and I was like, okay, great.
So wait, the taxi left?
Yeah, taxi left with all my bags.
Oh, God.
And then I got into the apartment, and then she told me, she was like, hey there, I'm going to be actually leaving tomorrow upstate to see my family. You're going to have the place all to yourself for the weekend. And I was like, what? Really? I was kind of scared because I was like, I don't know this place. I was like, are you sure? And she was like, yeah, you have all the place, so don't worry about it.
That was a lot of trust of her as well.
Yeah.
Just like, wow.
Yeah, so I was like, okay. But I thought she was going to stay there to kind of show me around the place. But I was like, okay, I can do this on my own. I woke up the next morning. I'm going to have to be honest with you. I was a little bit scared. I didn't leave the apartment the entire day. I stayed there the entire day, and I was like, I don't know what's going on, people. I didn't even leave the
Wait, did she leave, the keys or something?
She did, but she left the morning, so when I woke up,
She was already gone.
She was already gone.
Plus, I mean, imagine you were with the jet lag a little bit.
Yeah, I was jet lagged and all of that stuff. Yeah. So the following day, the reason I left was because I was hungry. There was no food there, so I was like, I gotta eat. So starvation was the only way to push me outside the door. So I finally left. I walked around the neighborhood a little bit. It wasn't as scary, walking around the neighborhood. I went into a little mini mart. Yeah, mini mart, and then bought something there, and then I came back. Then the next day, I was like, you know what? I got to be brave and go down and go to the subways. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. The funny thing was the subways was right on the same block that we were living. So I didn't even have to even walk very far. So, so then I finally got into the subway and I was like, oh man, here it goes. And I looked at the map.
Did you even know how to purchase a ticket? That's the first thing that you have to figure out how to.
That was easy. That part was
really
easy. Yeah, that part was
no.
Easy.
For me, it wasn't because I was like, "What is this? Like, what do you mean refill?"
Oh, right. That's true.
I always ask.
Yeah. So, I didn't ask. I was just like, I'm going to do it. So then I started getting lost everywhere I went.
I know.
Luckily, Google Maps works.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lifesaver. Like a lifesaver.
Yeah, good thing we are moving in working in the time where technology.
Yes, because before you had to print out those pieces of paper.
Oh yes, I remember.
From Google Maps and be like, okay, this is where you do. This is what you do.
That's true.
Yeah. So luckily we had Google Maps on our phone. And that helped immensely. It took me. I feel like it took me about a month to get used to the subways, and just how much larger it was, and how it's so interconnected to all the boroughs. Mm-hmm. And it was the amazing thing. It was 24/7.
Yeah, that was. That was the first. Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, so you could go at any times of the day.
Are your own responsibility, of course.
Right. So that was kind of my first experience. The first place I went to was the Nintendo store, World Store. Hey, I was just like, there's only one Nintendo store in the entire U.S. and it's in New York. I was like, I gotta go. So that was my very first place that I went to when I got here in New York City, because I'm a huge Nintendo fan. So that's one of the places I went to. Then I started exploring after that. So,
yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah. So that was kind of our first experiences of New York City. We have a whole bunch more that we can talk about later in the future podcasts of some of the things we really like to do, what were some of the first things we really saw, all of that stuff. But we wanted to give you kind of an introduction of how we got here to New York City. Mm-hmm. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram.
On YouTube as well. Visit our website.
Those are all the channels that you can visit us. Comment on them and just see what you like to hear and all of that stuff. We will have guests in the future. That's going to be exciting as well. So
sooner than later.
Exactly.
So stay tuned for more excited content.
Excited content, yes.
Excited content, and stay happy and tune.
Yep, sounds great. Bye.
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 Bye.